I wasn't supposed to be on that road that late. The rain had stopped hours ago, but the asphalt still shimmered like wet glass, stretching endlessly between towns that had forgotten their names. Midnight had come and gone, and all I wanted was silence. No memories, no regrets, no voices reminding me how far behind I'd fallen. My friends were getting engaged, promoted, building lives that looked good on screens. I was driving home from another failed reunion, pretending I didn't care that nobody had really asked how I was. The coffee in my cup holder had gone cold, and the hum of the tires was the only proof I was still moving forward. Then I saw the lights, red and blue, sharp, merciless. For a second, I thought they were reflections, until they didn't fade. My chest tightened as I pulled to the shoulder. Gravel crunched under the tires like it wanted to warn me. I rolled the window halfway down, my pulse drumming in my throat. The officer approached slowly. No flashlight, no rush. Just that steady stride of someone who had seen too many nights like this. He leaned in slightly. License and registration. I handed them over, forcing my voice not to shake. Was I speeding? He didn't answer right away. His eyes flicked between my face and the ID. You've been driving a while. Yeah, long night. His jaw moved like he was chewing on a thought. Where are you headed? Home. Another pause, long enough to feel like a test. I didn't look away, but I wanted to. Something in his stare wasn't procedural. It was searching, almost personal, like he was trying to see what I wasn't saying. You're not drunk, he said finally. No, sir. Not high? Just tired. He nodded once. The silence stretched. I expected him to step back, return to his car, write the ticket. Instead, he leaned against the doorframe. Rough night? That caught me off guard. Something like that. He tilted his head. You look like you left something behind. It hit harder than it should have. I wanted to tell him it was none of his business, but the words wouldn't form, because he wasn't wrong. It's been a lot, I said quietly. He studied me for another moment, then straightened. Stay here. He walked back toward his cruiser. I exhaled, my breath fogging the glass. My fingers tapped the steering wheel, waiting for the inevitable ticket. But when he returned, there was no clipboard in his hand. Step out for a second, he said. I blinked. Is there a problem? Not unless you want there to be. Every instinct told me to refuse, but something in his tone, firm, calm, not threatening, made me open the door anyway. The air outside was cool, heavy with the scent of rain. He nodded toward the patrol car. Come sit, just talk. I hesitated. About what? He shrugged. You tell me. You look like you've been carrying something for miles. I should have left. I knew how this looked, a cop and a stranger on an empty road. But I followed him anyway. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was the simple fact that no one had looked at me like that in a long time. Inside the cruiser, the radio murmured softly. He turned it down until it was just white noise. For a moment, we sat in silence. He rested his hands on the wheel but didn't start the car. You ever feel like you're driving just to stay ahead of the noise? He asked. I turned to him. All the time. He nodded slowly. Yeah, me too. The simplicity of it disarmed me. No badge, no authority. Just a man admitting something real. You don't have to answer, he added, but I stopped you because you looked lost. I laughed weakly. That obvious? He smiled, faint but sincere. It's a road I know well. For a moment, the cruiser felt less like a patrol car and more like a confession booth. The quiet stretched again, but this time it wasn't tense. Just heavy, like both of us were trying to remember how to breathe in the same space as honesty. Finally, he spoke again, softer now. I'm Nate. Caleb, I said before I could think. He nodded once, eyes still forward. Drive safe next time, Caleb. Am I free to go? Yeah, he said, reaching for the door handle. But something tells me you'll be back on this road again. He stepped out first, letting the rain mist between us. I watched him through the glass as he walked back to his cruiser lights fading behind me. When I pulled back onto the highway, I caught my reflection in the rearview mirror, half hidden, half awake, like someone I hadn't met yet. And for the first time in months, I didn't just feel tired. I felt seen. I told myself it didn't mean anything, just a quiet conversation on the side of the road. A moment. That was it. But 3 nights later, I was back on that same stretch of highway, same hour, same empty sky above me. I didn't plan it. I just drove. And when the cruiser pulled in behind me again, I wasn't surprised. Nate didn't use the lights this time. He just parked, stepped out, and walked over. I didn't even wait for him to tap the window. I rolled it down before he reached me. "You waiting for someone?" he asked, casual. "Maybe," I said. He looked at me for a long second. "You okay?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Are you?" That got the smallest flicker of a smile from him. "No." I opened the door. He didn't stop me. This time I followed him without hesitation. Back in his cruiser, the silence wasn't awkward. It just felt full, like neither of us knew how to start, but both wanted to stay. "You keep driving out here," he said finally, "like you're looking for something." "Maybe I am." "What is it?" I shook my head. "Peace, clarity, someone who doesn't look at me like I'm broken." He let that sit. No questions, no interruptions. Just sat with it. Then, "You ever tell anyone?" "About what?" "The way you carry it all." I glanced at him. "No one's really asked." He nodded slowly. "Same." It hit me then how strange this was. A police officer sitting beside me in the dark, talking about things we weren't supposed to say. And yet I didn't want to leave. "I've got no family out here," I said. "No one waiting for me." He looked at the road ahead, hands resting on the steering wheel. "Sometimes I think I wear this uniform just so people don't ask questions." I turned toward him. "Is it that bad?" He exhaled through his nose. "Depends on the day." Silence again, but now it pressed tighter, like something unsaid was sitting between us, demanding attention. "You ever think about just leaving?" I asked. "More than I should." "And?" He didn't answer right away. "I'm not good at starting over." "Neither am I." We both laughed. Quiet, not because anything was funny, but because it was either that or admit how much we needed to be here. He glanced at me, something sharper in his eyes now. "I meant what I said that night." "About what?" "You looked like someone who needed to be seen." I swallowed hard. "You're not wrong." "Neither are you," he said. "About me." The air between us shifted. Not charged, not romantic, just real, honest. The kind of weight that settles when two people stop pretending. "I keep thinking about what we didn't say," I admitted. "So say it." I hesitated. "I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want from you." "Good," he said, "because I don't know either." He reached toward the dashboard, turned the radio off completely. The silence grew deeper. Then softly, "You want to get out for a bit?" I frowned. "Where?" "There's an overlook a mile up. I go there when I can't sleep." I nodded. "Lead the way." We drove without speaking. His taillights glowed in front of me like small anchors in the dark. When we pulled into the overlook, he stepped out first and I followed. The wind was colder up there. The valley stretched below like something ancient and forgotten. We stood side by side, not touching, not looking at each other. "I didn't expect to see you again," he said. "I didn't expect to come back." "So why did you?" I stared out at the lights in the distance. "Because you didn't treat me like I was a mistake." He let out a quiet breath. "I've made a lot of mistakes, Caleb." "Yeah," I said. "Me too." We stood like that for a while, saying nothing, feeling everything. When he finally turned to face me, he looked different, not because of the light or the setting, but because the armor was gone. "If I cross a line," he said carefully, "tell me." "You haven't," I replied. "I might," he admitted. "Not because I want to hurt you, just because I don't know how to do this right." I turned to him. "I'm not here for perfect." His jaw moved slightly. Then he nodded just once. "You cold?" he asked. "Not really." "You want to sit for a while?" "Yeah." We sat on the hood of his cruiser, legs dangling over the edge, backs to the stars. He didn't reach for me. I didn't reach for him. But there was something in the stillness, some quiet agreement, that neither of us wanted to be alone tonight. We stayed like that until the wind changed and the first hint of dawn crept over the hills. And when he finally looked at me, really looked at me, I saw it in his eyes, what he couldn't say yet. Not love, not even like. Just this. You matter. And somehow, that was enough. I didn't hear from him for 5 days. No messages, no headlights in my rearview mirror. No reason to drive out past the overlook again. I told myself I wasn't waiting, but I was. Every night I stared at my phone like it owed me something. Every time I passed a cruiser on the road, my heart jumped. And every time it wasn't him, it sank. On the sixth day, I got a message. Just 3 words. You around tonight? I stared at the screen for a full minute before answering. Yeah. Same place? He didn't reply. He didn't need to. When I pulled up to the overlook, he was already there. Not in uniform, just standing by the railing, arms folded, posture tight. Something was off. I got out slowly, unsure. Hey. He didn't turn around. Thanks for coming. I stepped beside him. Everything okay? No. I waited. They found out I took you to the motel, he said flatly. I froze. What? I didn't tell them. But someone saw the cruiser, took a photo. It got back to the department. My stomach dropped. Are you? Suspended, he said. Pending review. The wind cut across the overlook. Neither of us moved. I'm sorry, I said, not even sure why. Don't be. I knew the risk. You didn't do anything wrong. He turned toward me now. Didn't I? I met his gaze. You didn't pressure me. You didn't use your badge. You just what? He asked. Listened, I said. And let yourself be real. That's not a crime. He looked away again. Depends who's watching. A long silence followed. I can't do this if it's going to ruin your life, I said finally. His voice was quiet. It already was ruined. Just didn't admit it until you showed up. That one hit deeper than I wanted it to. He shifted his stance. There's a hearing next week. They'll ask questions. Probably dig into my record, my life. I never meant to complicate things, I said. You didn't, he replied. You made them clear. We both stood in the dark, trying to untangle what this had become. I was engaged once, he said suddenly, to a woman. We lasted 3 years. I thought if I did everything right, military, career, marriage, I'd stop feeling like I was wrong. And, he shook his head, turns out silence doesn't fix anything. It just buries it deeper. I looked at him. Why me? He didn't answer right away. Because you didn't look away when I saw you. You didn't pretend. And because I saw myself in the way you sat behind that wheel, like you were already halfway gone. That pulled something raw out of me. I had felt that way for months. I don't know what this is, I said carefully. I don't know what you want from me. Neither do I, he said. But when I'm around you, I don't feel like I'm lying to myself. And that's new. I breathed in sharp. Do they know you're gay? I don't even know if I am, he said. I've never said it out loud. Not once. Until now. I swallowed hard. Then say it. He looked at me, and for a second I thought he might. But instead he stepped back from the railing and sat on the hood of his car. Everything's on pause now, he said. My job, my image, my whole life. I joined him. So start over. He gave a humorless laugh. You make it sound easy. It's not, I said. But staying stuck isn't either. He stared at the sky. You still want to see me? After all this? Yes, I said. No hesitation. He turned his head. Why? Because you're not pretending anymore. And because I know what it's like to be tired of hiding. He didn't smile, didn't nod. He just sat with that truth, letting it settle between us. Then he said, I might lose my job. You might find something better. They'll think I used you. Then tell them the truth. And what is that? I paused. That we both showed up on the worst night, and something about it felt right. He looked at me, really looked, and for the first time that night, I saw something in his face that wasn't fear. It was relief. The next time I saw Nate, he wasn't in his cruiser. He was standing outside the diner near the highway, pacing, his phone in one hand, jaw tight. I didn't call out, just watched for a moment. He looked like he hadn't slept, like something had finally snapped. He turned suddenly, saw me, and didn't pretend to smile. You came. You texted. We stood there for a beat. Then he said, they're letting me go. No badge, no ceremony, just paperwork. I didn't know what to say. They called it a breach of conduct. He shoved his phone in his pocket. Said I compromised the integrity of the department. You didn't do anything wrong. I did something human, he said. Apparently that's worse. We stepped away from the entrance and sat on the bench around the side. The parking lot behind us buzzed with early traffic. Families, commuters, people who didn't have to think twice about being seen. I thought I'd feel angry, he said after a while. But I don't. I feel... He trailed off. Relieved, I asked. He glanced sideways. Exposed. We sat in silence again, not because we didn't have things to say, but because neither of us knew how to say them first. Then he said, there's a rumor going around that I offered to let you off the hook if you... I know what it sounds like. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's believable enough. And in this job, perception is everything. My throat tightened. So that's it. He looked down at his hands. I don't know what happens next. I spent my entire adult life trying to build something that looked respectable, stable. I thought if I wore the uniform long enough, I could convince myself I deserved to wear it. You did, I said. He looked up, and for a second his defenses cracked. I was a good cop. Not perfect, but good. I showed up. I listened. I kept people safe. You still can, I said. Badge or not. He shook his head. You don't get it. That was my identity. That's who I was. Now I'm just the guy who lost everything over one night with someone he barely knew. I didn't answer, because that was the first time he'd called it a night. Just one night. Something in my chest pulled tight. Is that what it was for you? I asked. Just one night? He looked startled. No, I didn't mean it like that. But that's what people are saying, right? That I was some mistake, that you crossed a line for something meaningless. Caleb, I've been quiet about this, about us. I've let you carry the risk because you had more to lose. But I'm not going to let you rewrite it now just because it's easier to tell yourself it didn't matter. He stood suddenly, taking a step away. You think I don't care? I think you're scared. Of course I'm scared, he snapped. I lost my job. My friends won't answer my calls. I can't go back to the station. My entire life just flipped because I followed a gut feeling I've spent a decade trying to ignore. I stood too. And I'm the one who made that worse? No, he said, voice lowering. You're the only one who made it honest. We stared at each other, the space between us full of everything we hadn't said. Then he added, but being honest doesn't make it easier. I swallowed hard. No, it doesn't. A car door slammed nearby. Someone laughed. We both turned, suddenly reminded we were in public. I'm not asking you for anything, I said. Not a relationship, not a plan. I just want the truth. Did it matter to you? His eyes didn't flinch. Yes. I nodded once. That was all I needed. Then don't let them take that from you too, I said. He breathed in deep. You really believe that? I believe pretending hurts worse. We didn't hug. We didn't touch. We just stood there while the world moved around us. Two people stripped of excuses, exposed in every direction. And maybe that's what made it real. 3 weeks later, I got a call I didn't expect. Not from Nate, but from his sister. She'd found my number in his phone, said he'd been crashing at her place since the department let him go. Said he wasn't talking much, barely eating. She wasn't sure what had happened between us, but whatever it was, he wasn't the same. I don't know what you mean to him, she said, but I know he stopped pretending the moment you showed up. That stuck with me. I didn't rush over. I gave it another day. Thought maybe he needed space. Maybe he deserved to feel everything collapse without someone there trying to fix it. But by the next morning, I was in my car. He opened the door himself. His face was unreadable. Not sad, not angry, just tired. I wasn't sure you'd come. You didn't ask me to. We stood there for a moment. I half expected him to close the door, but he stepped aside and let me in. We didn't talk for a while, just sat on the edge of the small back porch, watching wind push the trees around. He finally broke the silence. I've been thinking about who I was before that night, before you. I didn't interrupt. I thought being good meant following the rules, being the guy who kept everything straight, who never messed up, never complicated things. But I wasn't good. I was scared of what I wanted, of being seen. He looked at me. You changed that. No, I said quietly. You changed it. I was just there when you finally stopped hiding. He exhaled slowly. Do you regret it? I shook my head. Do you? No, but I keep wondering if I would have done it, if I'd known how much it would cost. That's how you know it mattered, I said. Another silence. This one not uncomfortable. He finally looked over and said, You know, I used to think the badge made me someone. Like it gave me value. But the second they took it, I realized the only thing I wanted to fight for was you. I didn't expect that. He kept going. Not because I need saving, and not because I think this will be easy, but because you're the first person who didn't let me lie to myself. I studied him. The man I had first met behind flashing lights and a hard exterior now sat across from me with nothing left to protect him but the truth. I nodded. So what do we do now? He smiled, faint but real. We stopped waiting for permission to live our lives. That afternoon we drove out of town. No plans, no destination, just movement. I don't remember every mile, but I remember the first time he reached across the center console and took my hand. It wasn't dramatic, no music, no grand gesture, just quiet acceptance. That night we pulled into a roadside motel and sat out under the stars. He told me about the time he almost left this place years ago, how he turned around at the state line, too afraid of what he'd find or lose. I think I was always going to find you, he said, even if it meant losing everything else. He looked at me like he already knew the answer. Yeah, even then. We didn't talk about the future, not in terms of promises or titles, but we talked about tomorrow, where we might go, what we might become, and somehow that felt bigger. He never got his badge back, but he found something else. Freedom, not the kind that comes from running, but the kind that comes from no longer hiding. And me? I stopped apologizing for being someone who needed more than safe spaces and polite silence. I stopped waiting to be chosen in private and erased in public. We chose each other, in daylight. That was enough.